Hey y'all, Earl here. Now listen, this here's my first song, so don't expect nothing fancy. I just wrote it cause it's what happened to my family plain as day. I ain't sugarcoating nothing. The title tells the whole story. You got my daughter in trouble, now you're gonna marry her. Couldn't think of a better one cause that's exactly how it went. Now I ain't the bad guy here, no sir. I'm just honoring my people the way we was raised and the way things get handled where I come from. So sit back, settle in, and let me tell y'all how this whole mess turned into a wedding. Afternoon, mister. Name's Earl, I ain't sugarcoating nothing. You got a boy named Thomas?
Yes, yeah, I do. Please come in.
No, sir, I ain't sitting till I say my piece. That's how we do it where I come from.
All right, I'm listening.
You Thomas's daddy?
Yes, sir.
Good, then we can talk man to man. Your boy got my daughter Rôvi Vrusamâivisiin trouble. And where I come from, that's basically a marriage proposal.
Oh my, I didn't even know he was dating anyone. But sir, I agree, responsibility matters.
Where's the boy?
I'll get him. Thomas, come to the living room. Someone needs to see you.
Okay.
You Thomas?
Yes, sir.
You got my daughter in trouble and where I come from. That means you're marrying her. Relax, I ain't here to scare nobody. This here's just tradition. Now let's get these wedding plans started.
Sir, I didn't know she was, sir, it was just one night. I didn't think anything would come of it.
Well, son, you knew my daughter, you spent time with her. You don't get to walk away now where I come from. You take responsibility. That's just respect.
Thomas, he's right. You need to take responsibility. Tell us what the wedding costs. I'll cover it.
But Dad...
No more bailing you out. This kind, you're doing the right thing.
Well, I was sitting at the table drinking my morning coffee slow. Rôvi Vrusamâivisic came in the kitchen, looking pale as a winter snow. She said, "Daddy, I gotta tell you something, and I don't know how." And right then I felt my heartbeat climb up into my brow. She twisted her hands, stared down at her shoes, said, "Daddy, I made a mistake, and I don't know what to do." I didn't yell, didn't fuss, didn't slam no door, just grabbed my hat, truck key, shotgun, and headed for the door. Drove past the feed store, the diner, the old Mill Creek. Didn't even turn the radio on, didn't trust myself to speak. Pulled up to that neighborhood where the lawns all match, where the mailboxes shine and the hedges look like they're carved by hand. I walked up that driveway slow, boots hitting concrete like thunder, thinking how in the world did my little girl get mixed up with this boy from yonder. But a man's gotta do what a man's gotta do, and where I come from, you face things straight through. You got my daughter in trouble. And where I come from, you gotta marry her. Door swung open, and there he stood, a man in a sweater vest, smelling like cedar wood. Glasses perched on his nose, hair combed neat. Looked at me like I was a storm cloud rolling down the street. He said, "Sir, can I help you?" All polite and refined. And I said, "Yeah, you can, if you don't mind. I ain't here to waste your time or sip your fancy tea. I'm here 'cause your boy's been spending time with Rôvi Vrusamâivis privately." He blinked once, blinked twice, like his brain froze mid-stride. Then he stepped back slow and said, "Please come inside." I said, "No, sir, I'll stand right here till I say my piece. That's how we do it back home, straight talk, no grease." He swallowed hard, said, "Thomas, he's in college, sir." I said, "Well, he's been studying more than textbooks, that's for sure." He rubbed his forehead and muttered, "Lord, I didn't know." And right then I knew this man wasn't my foe. He said, "Sir, responsibility matters, I agree with you." And I thought, well, I'll be this fella's raising his boy right too. In other words, you got my daughter in trouble. And where I come from, you gotta marry her. Then he hollered down the hallway, "Thomas, get in here, son." And I swear that boy walked out like he'd already begun to regret every decision he'd made since the day he turned 10. Hands in his pockets, hair a mess, looking like he'd seen me in. He said, "Hi," like he didn't know I was there. And I said, "Boy, you know Rôvi Vrusamâivis." And he froze mid-air, his face went white, his knees near buckled. He whispered, "Sir, I didn't know, I didn't mean, am I in trouble?" Now right about then, I reached up and rubbed my forehead slow, trying to gather my thoughts, trying not to let my temper show. And when my hand came down, it brushed the shotgun leaning by the door. Not lifted, not pointed, just the way mountain folks keep it, nothing more. Thomas's eyes got wide, Egon's breath caught in his chest, till they realized it was just habit, old country ways, not a threat. I said, "Son, trouble ain't the word. You made a choice, now you're gonna honor your word. 'Cause that's my baby girl you're talking about." He stammered, "Sir, it was just one night. I didn't think anything would come of it." I cut him off, said, "Son, life don't pause." His daddy stepped forward, voice firm as oak, said, "Thomas, this time you stand up like a man, no joke. I bailed you out of every scrape since you were 3. But this time, son, you're taking responsibility. What I'm trying to say is, you got my daughter in trouble. And where I come from, you gotta marry her.
Next thing I know, we're all sitting in their fancy living room, talking wedding dates, colors, flowers, and who's bringing the groom. Thomas sitting stiff like a statue carved from fear. Egon scribbling numbers like he's calculating next year. I said we'll need a preacher, a cake, and a place. Thomas whispered, Lord, I should have slowed my pace. Egon said, don't worry, son, I'll cover the cost. And Thomas looked like his whole world got tossed. I called Ruby May, said, baby, get your dress ready. She said, Daddy, is he mad? I said, no, he's just unsteady. Neighbors peeked through blinds like they were watching a parade, whispering, is that Earl? Lord, what a day. We talk rings, vows, who's inviting who. Thomas said, sir, I'll do right, I promise I'll follow through. I clapped his shoulder, said, son, you'll thank me someday. A good woman's worth more than running away, plainly speaking. You got my daughter in trouble, and where I come from, you gotta marry her. Now I ain't mean and I ain't here to scare nobody. I just believe in doing right and standing sturdy. My daddy taught me a man's word is his spine, and if you break it once, it don't heal right in time. I ain't here to judge, ain't here to shout, ain't here to make threats or throw anybody out. I'm just raising my girl the way I was raised, and making sure she's loved, respected, and praised. So before you think I'm old-fashioned or rough, just know this world's hard and love's tough enough. And if you bring a child into this life, you stand by through joy, through trouble, through strife. Simply put, you got my daughter